Tornadoes made for a good disaster flick in the 90s, and apparently they still do. Let's get into it. Hello there Clapperheads, and welcome to a brand new edition of ClapperCorns. I'm Nick Dorian. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about Warner Brothers and Universal Pictures' latest release, Twisters. A standalone sequel to the 1996 film Twister, this was a film that nobody saw coming, but I'm so glad we got it either way. While not directly linked to its original source material, this film is still set in the same universe as Twister. Taking place 5 years after a horrifying encounter with a tornado, Kate Cooper gets lured back to tornado hunting once again by her friend Harvey, who has a groundbreaking new tracking system. As they hunt for the biggest of twisters, she crosses paths with Tyler Owens, a charming yet reckless social media superstar who thrives on posting his storm-chasing adventures. As the storm season intensifies, the two of them must learn how to work together to take down one of the biggest twisters of all. While it does feature a fair amount of links as well as Easter eggs to its predecessor, you didn't have to watch the original film in order to enjoy this. This is very much a film that can stand on its own 2 feet and reignites whatever energy the original film had. This doesn't feel like a paint by numbers trying to recreate whatever magic the first one had. This very much feels like they've taken whatever works and made it better and modernized and improved on it. The formula is fairly much the same, chasing big twisters, whether science is better than trusting nature and seeing it with your own eyes, and a little bit of romance in between just for good measure, and not forgetting a whole bunch of disaster. But you know the saying, don't fix it if it ain't broke? This is exactly a good example of it. While Twister focused very much on the disaster element of it and had a more serious storyline, this has taken that and amped up a little bit of the humor, a little bit of lightheartedness, and a whole bunch of fun and thrills thrown into the mix. And on top of that, you truly get to see the devastation left behind in the wake of a twister and how big of a catastrophe it can be on a small town. I think that's one thing the original did touch on, but we truly get to see the size of it with this film. And I think that makes the film a lot more human. There are a lot more stakes at play here, that this is a very much real natural disaster that does occur on a pretty much yearly basis. Now, if you've seen Twister, you would know how big of a film it was at the time, almost reinventing the disaster film. It was very much an inspiration to the genre that it was in and continuously influenced a lot of films that came after it. And Twisters feels like it's kept that magic. This feels like an old-time disaster film that would have been made at the time of the 90s, but with a bit more polish and bigger set pieces. We get a lot of remakes and reboots and sequels that sometimes fall by the wayside and looks like a cash grab, but this is one of the few ones that actually works on so many levels. After Ghostbusters Afterlife brought back life, no pun intended, to the Ghostbusters franchise, I feel this does the same thing to the Twister film. And I'm not surprised if you get more installments, turning this into a huge franchise on its own. Now, apart from the tornadoes and the high stakes intensity that it had, what made Twister work was the fact that they had Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt in the lead roles, who had amazing chemistry and worked so well together. And Twisters was no exception, having Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar-Jones in the lead role, bringing as much chemistry as their original duo did. While Glenn Powell was of course massively charming in this role that you could either hate or love either way, but the real standout was Daisy Edgar-Jones. While she started off very meek and insecure because of the massive incident that happened 5 years ago, there was a little bit of Helen Hunt's energy that came through her when you really got to see her play and fight against this tornado. Like her predecessor, she was a strong, confident woman who headed straight first into a tornado, risking life and limb just for her experiment. And when you paired the two of them on screen, their chemistry was outstanding, and you couldn't help but smile and have just as much fun as the two of them were having chasing a storm. At the end of the day, just like its first film, Twisters will cement itself as one of the best disaster picks of 2024. I've said it here first, that's what I believe, and does the exact same thing for that generation as it will do for this generation. You know, I think I really enjoyed this film so much, I might just talk about it even longer on ClapperCorn's official podcast, Clapper Talks. So do yourself a favor, Twisters comes out this Thursday, the 18th of July. Go and catch it. You'll be holding your breath. You'll be having so much fun and just being in awe of these massive tornadoes. And as always, you can check us out on all social media. It's on the screen at the moment, Instagram, TikTok, and of course YouTube. Go and follow and subscribe to those channels for more updates. Thank you so much again for watching. I am Nick Dorian, and until next time, keep watching the movies.